Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Parth, and let's just dive in. Note 7 just came out and it's already considered to be the flagship of the flagships. Basically the best phone that you can get right now. Pretty sure that the new iPhones will also share the same tag, but about 6 months ago the S7 and the S7 Edge came out and critiques and even the people said the same thing about it. But what about now? Now I got a chance to use both the S7 and the S7 Edge lately, and I usually start up with the design aspect in my videos, but today let's start up with durability. Since this is not a cheap device, and when you buy something expensive, you need it to have a great tenure of life. So in order to make products sustain for a longer period of time, lately there have been two widely popular ways that manufacturers have been adopting to enhance the life of the products majorly. Basically using great strong build materials and making the products resistant to water and dust, which in this case Samsung has done. But there's a catch. So if I talk about the build quality, this thing is entirely made up of glass. I mean, there's glass at the front and at the back. There's just a metal frame that goes all across the boundary of the phone. But this glass, first up, this is easily beautiful. This is one of the best looking devices that is out right now. And it might just be the best looking glass smartphone. It's that good. The glass at the back is very reflective, which kind of makes it very interesting to look at. Each color kind of gives you hues of different colors, like the black gives you hues of blue, which is very soothing to look at, but it does have its own flaws. I mean, firstly, it is very slippery. Secondly, it attracts a lot of smudges and fingerprints. And third, and the most lethal of all, is that it's prone to breaking. I've dropped it a couple of times and the glass at the back is pretty much completely cracked, which kind of make me skeptical of its strength, although Samsung claims it's a pretty strong one. But it kind of definitely wants to have a case on itself, not even a skin, but a case, which kind of eliminates the beauty of the device. But it's also resistant to water and dust. But both the S7 and the S7 Edge that I have been using for the past couple of days have not been able to tackle both of these. I mean, Samsung says you can drop even champagne on top of it, but I kind of dropped orange juice on the S7 Edge and it kind of completely goes crazy. And this is already my second unit. The first one kind of had different issues and I'm planning to get a third replacement unit now. And the same goes with the S7. I mean, I had some water that went inside the ports and it just went completely mad and I had to get a second unit as well. So not too sure of how much pressure this can actually bear, but it's IP68 certified, so it says resistant till 1.5 meter in dust or water till 30 minutes, but I haven't really had any good experiences. But talking about the design, Samsung kind of improved it drastically from the last variants, the S6 and the S6 Edge. So now we have got back the micro SD card slot, so you can expand the storage up to 256 gigabytes, and we've also lost the camera bump from last year. Now it's pretty much negligible thanks to the increased thickness of the device. The curves, however, on the Edge variant are now much more subtle and much more smooth. The S6 Edge from last year was a bit sharp. This year it's just a bit more curvy and much more smooth. So it not only looks better, it also feels better in your hand, and that is something amazing. The regular S7, however, has got a curved back, which also makes it easier to hold in your hand. So these are some pretty smart design decisions taken by Samsung this year. The screen kind of remains the same, and with that I mean really beautiful. People say it's the best display and I cannot really disagree to that. The S7 Edge, however, has a slightly bigger screen, a 5.5 inch display, but it does not necessarily feel that big, which is a good thing. Both the devices have Quad HD displays, which basically means more than 500 pixels every single inch. So that is easily more than what we need, but once you look at this display, you really do not want to have anything less than that. It has got amazing outdoor visibility, which is one of the most underrated necessities, and the colors are really punchy. It's an AMOLED display, Super AMOLED, that's what Samsung likes to call it, but the viewing angles, the colors, the brightness, contrast and saturation ratios are just amazing. I mean, Samsung is kind of famous for this, and if you get the Edge variant, the media consumption is just on another level. The other thing that Samsung is absolutely amazing is the camera. So last year it was 16, now it's 12 megapixels, but the camera itself is just superb. It was already so good, and to be able to make it even better is remarkable in itself. So the first time I used it, I noticed that the dynamic range was not that great, but once you switch to the HDR mode, it is pretty good. It does do some over sharpening on the images, but at least it's not as much as we saw last year, so that's a step towards improvement. But the low light pics is something that has been hugely worked on. So this has an f1.7 of aperture, which is amazing. So more light and the low light pictures kind of speak for themselves. There's not much grain, which is amazing, and since it has such big of an aperture, it gets that amazing shallow depth of field, which is amazing to play with thanks to that manual mode. As far as the video goes, it is just as good. It can record 4K videos and also slow motion videos up to 240 seconds, which look absolutely fabulous. So at the end of the day, again, the best camera phone that you can get right now. As far as the software is concerned, TouchWiz, it kind of gets better with each successive flagship, which is pretty good. So this time it's even more cleaner and a bit more minimalistic, which is absolutely amazing to look at, but it still does have a lot of features that I didn't really care to get into. But one thing that I noticed was that the edge on the S7 Edge kind of made more sense than the edge on the S6 Edge from last year. And to be honest, it's got very little to do with the software. The edge on the S7 Edge, when you swipe from there, you get a bunch of options that kind of almost take half of the screen space, which is awesome, but you cannot really access any third-party apps from there, which kind of limits the functionality. But you can actually read news, which might come in handy, although that did not really happen with me. So not too sure how the software is taking advantage of that edge, but physically that edge is actually very beneficial and one of the very best thoughts put into products in the industry, according to me at least. So if you compare the S7 Edge with any other smartphone having a similar sized display, it is smaller than literally every one of those, and that has got to do with the edge. You get the same screen size, but you get better scrolling experience, you get better looks, and you get a much more handy size of the device, which, to be honest, according to me, is one of the most underrated feature of this new design. But coming back to TouchWiz, it is not really sluggish anymore, which you guys know it's very satisfactory, and maybe it's got to do something with the Snapdragon 820 or the Adreno 430 GPU, or maybe the 4GB of RAM this device ships with, but it's just right on point, no lags at all whatsoever. But as the specs suggest, the performance is just like every other flagship, no complaints at all. My major concern was basically heating, because the previous models kind of heated a lot, I still remember that. This time it's not really a problem, so I am glad to see that issue getting vanished. But at the end of the day, the battery life, to take advantage of such a powerful processor and GPU and those over 500 pixels every single inch, the battery is definitely better than the last year, but could be and should be a bit more better than what it is right now. So there you have it, guys. This is my take on the S7 and the S7 Edge. According to me, these new devices are a bit overrated in some areas and a bit underrated in some areas, but that combination kind of balances it off, if you make sense about that. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked this video, and I'll see you in my next one, which is also going to be an interesting one actually. Take care, guys.